This video brought to you in part by these fantastic sponsors.
All right, so we are currently reviewing the TheSwimmingCat's profile. TheSwimmingCat is a relatively newer middle of the game character. We got a rank 45 account. They're just pretty much looking for advice on what to do next, where to go, how to gear, and kind of like put together a roadmap of what they should be doing, which is a little out of the ordinary for me because most of the time it's the question of, hey, how do I beat Wyvern 11? In which case, you know, I go, hey, you got Angelica? And they're like, yeah, but I haven't raised her. And I'm like, well, there you go. End of review. Come back to me after your Angelica has 1100 plus defense and 15,000 plus 15,000 plus hit points. So this is actually going to be really fun, and definitely appreciate you giving me the chance to review this account, Mr. Cat. So one of the first things that I'm gonna get on you, and I noticed here, is that you have 10 of your NPC challenges just sitting there. Now this is going to be pretty big for you because you're going to get sky stones, and you're going to get your conquest points out of this, and they're stupid easy. They're really easy. If you just do those 10 a day, that's 30 sky stones, and you can just do those pretty easily off of natural regenning flags, which, by the way, you could unmute yourself and, you know, put in some back and forth input because snow is usually pretty quiet. So so you want to make sure that you are that you're getting those knocked out of there. It's not going to improve your rank or anything like that, but it's definitely going to definitely get you some extra stuff. And one of the big things with doing that is the fact that you are going to want to pick up not only your Molagora seed every single week. Those are super important. Never ever let those sit around, but you're going to want to work up towards this level 88 PvP gear, because you being a middle ground, a level 45, buying just this necklace alone is going to turn any one of your characters into an absolute monster. This is going to be like super huge. We were talking to somebody else previously, and we got them onto this, and so when I was like first looking at your tavern, I noticed that you have a Fire Ken, which he like slapped the PvP gear on him. He's gonna just put a dog with him on your defense team, and just Ken, and he's just gonna solo people. He's gonna solo whole teams. We did it in the previous one, so that's pretty good. But taking a look at your account in general, you do have a lot of really good, really solid characters. I mean, you've got Luna, who is just waifu material in general, but Fire Ken is really good, and you're going to want to build him like an absolute raid boss. So let me see what artifacts you have in here. So not a ton of warrior artifacts. One thing you're going to want to aim for on him, now the L's Fist is pretty solid, but you're going to want to aim for like a Sigurd Scythe in the long run, or a Durandal. Those two are going to be pretty solid for him. You're already building him HP crit, which is pretty good. The things you're going to want to look for over here on the side, however, is maybe switch this crit damage neck out for a crit HP neck, because you're going to want more HP on him, because the more HP that you have on him, the better. Not only that, but you do have a crit hit damage neck with only 37% chance to crit, so you're not really going to be taking in too much advantage of that crit hit damage. Now I don't know if you have anything else that would be good here, if you have any other crit sets You don't, but here's actually one that would probably be like better on him in general, just because it's got attack, as well as hit point set. So you don't have any base hit points on it. You do have 11% on the on this crit one, but maybe swapping in this Crimson Challenge would be a little bit better overall, just because you're going to be getting extra attack on a hit set, which means that you could then turn maybe these boots. I don't know if you have a oh, that's flat stats, those are gross. Let's see what else you have here for him. I would keep this on here. This is actually pretty okay. A lot of effectiveness there, which will help with applying the defense down and the burn as well. So that's actually not too bad for him. Let's see what you got gear wise here. You really don't have too much in the way of crit sets, do you? This is actually pretty nice. This would be really good on somebody who needs some speed, actually. Which I'm gonna take a look at your Angelica here in a moment. Also, are you two both on mute, or are you just like not talking?
Oh no, just never.
Oh, okay.
Or found like a good opportunity to. Like,
You guys
cut
can,
in.
yeah, no, you guys can interrupt me at any time, especially you, Cat, if you have any questions on like what I'm saying, or you want me to elaborate more on like how things are going here. But yeah, no, you have like I said, you have a pretty good initial build for him. You can also kind of, so you can either go 2 HP or 4 HP to crit, or you can go speed with tanky substats, 4 speed, 2 HP or 2 crit. Depends on how you want to build him. I would probably go 4 speed to 2 HP, because you kind of want him to just be tanky and just be hard to take down, especially like in PvP. So with your bell, you're pretty good here. I would actually, if you had,
Personally, from my experience, I
yeah,
would put for Bellona, make the boots speed boots, because you kind of want her going as often as possible, keeping
yeah.
up the defense breaks, and even dealing some good damage every now
Yeah,
and then.
I didn't see much in the way of speed main stat boots. So one thing, Cat, that you're gonna want to look at is if you have a pair of boots that has like speed main stat, just keep them, even if they're not the best in terms of substats. The amount of speed that you'll get out of speed main stat boots is usually makes up for garbage substats, at least until you get later game. One big thing with like right side gear, which is your necklace, your ring, and your boots, is that the primary focus of those, at least as you're leveling up, as you're gearing up, is the actual main stat and the percentage main stat, because you're going to get so much more out of that. So if you have a good main stat with a set that you're trying to run, so like say you know, for your Angelica, you're going to want to like speed hit points, because you need her to be kind of fast, but you also need her neck and her ring to be hit points so that she gets really tanky and she can just eat hits. Even if the substats are offensive or just flat or not the greatest, for where you are now until you max out and you're trying to like future optimize, just getting those and leveling those up in the meantime is going to set you a lot further ahead. One of the things, so this is a pretty good artifact for her. Now I want to take a real quick look at your artifacts, and I'm gonna go this way because there are like no 3-star artifacts here. And after doing some of these reviews, that's definitely a video I'm going to put together this week on what 3-star artifacts you should keep around. So I'm going to give
Sometimes
you.
I feel that they just delete their 3-star artifacts without reading them and
I
Yeah.
getting
actually
understanding
should
of it.
have some artifacts in the summoning thing if you
Oh,
want to take a look.
fantastic! I will. I
There,
will. I
there
will
should
pull
be
these
some.
out.
I don't think there's a lot because I tend to roll a lot of like 3-star units rather than actual
Artifacts.
artifacts, which kind of sucks because like I know things like the prophetic candle and the
Mhm.
are pretty good.
So yeah, and I mean you got a Daydream Joker here, which is one of the ones that I was like surprised not to see. Um, some of these are pretty bad, and you will just want to turn them into. And so I got to do the numbers on this, but from what I understand, is if you sell the 3-star artifact and then buy the charms out of the shop with the dust, you end up at like a net positive, be it gold or XP. So I'm gonna do some testing on that, but you're gonna want to keep Cursed
First
Compass is really good, especially if you have somebody like a Dizzy or somebody that's going first in PvP that you need a lot of extra effectiveness on.
stage ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I wasn't blessed to get dizzy, so
Yeah. Yeah, not too many people did, especially if they started after the Guilty Gear collab. But here's like literally your hands down one of your best DPS artifacts in the game, and the reason is because it deals damage equivalent to 1.5% of the enemy's max health when attacking, and this scales with bosses. So the harder the boss, the more hit points they have, the more damage you're doing. And this is actually a good alternative on Belle, because not only is her S1 doing percent damage, but she's also doing extra percent damage on Daydream Joker, and that scales with literally everything else that you do. So if you build her speedy and crit, this scales with crit, and now she is just doing massive amounts of percentage health damage.
And also, since it, like Shogun said, it deals like scales with the enemy HP. When you're doing this in Abyss, where the enemies have like hundreds of thousands of HP, the damage you see is just ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And that's
And when
actually one of the reasons
that's
too
great
why
too.
it's so good on like Soul Bad Guy, because he does a ton of percent hit point, and you build him like an absolute crit monster. So that's why you'll see videos where you'll just see Soul like one-shotting Golem with enough crit damage and max Daydream Joker, because it's probably hands down one of the best 3 stars in my opinion. Other ones to kind of look at is Rannon's Memorandum. That one is pretty solid. You're absolutely gonna want to lock prophetic candlestick, an envoy's pipe. There's a couple other ones that are kind of interesting to play around with, and that's like Egg of Delusion. You also have Labyrinth Cube, which is kind of interesting. That one has like a 12, like a chance to increase the combat readiness of 15% at the end of an enemy's turn. So that gives you a chance to kind of like throw some stuff in the works because of that chance of increasing the combat readiness. Exorcist Tonfa is also going to be pretty good at the end of the day. Now, things like Forest Totem, Butterfly Mandolin, I really don't. Butterfly Mandolin is meh. It's like a really, really mediocre Ardell, which is, yeah. Ascending Axe, just you can kind of pass
Like
on those.
super bootleg Hellcutter.
Yeah, super, super bootleg. Your potion vial is really good. You're gonna want to eventually max one of those out. Moonlight Dreamblade is good for a longer term. Um, the Megara's Tome is pretty solid. But that's
on
more
your Mako. Put
on
down the
yeah.
Mako. You cheesing turns left and
Oh
right.
yeah. Yep. Yep. Arius is pretty good. I would not level up Adamant Shield.
A lot of
Um,
people are actually starting to move towards that with
are
C
they?
Armin's buff. With C Armin's nerf, because
Oh, with
it's like
Sierra's
less.
nerf.
It's less than Adamant Shield now by like 1%, because it's so
Mm,
so significant.
yeah. Uh, get a max limit broken tag heals. This is going to be really good in the future for PvP. Because receiving extra, because at maxed out, it's what, 20 souls, I believe, which is soul burn range for a lot of characters, which means that right out of the gate, you can just soul burn into extra damage, extra turns, whatever you need. So that's a really good one to look out for in the future. This one right here, you can kind of just turn that into dust. Um, I don't know anyone that uses it. I don't think I've ever seen any builds
Uh,
that use it.
there are actually a couple Banshee teams that run this with
Mm,
I think it was either Bologna or like whatever ranger they have, like Syria, where
okay.
that combat readiness, it can come in clutch to cut a turn between the Banshee that's about to come back and nuke you.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I
that's
guess I
still
could
it's
see that
still
being very, very
oh
situational.
another thing that I've seen being someone using that is Celeste, when they have like a super speed cheese Guild War defense team where they just continuously kill left and right, and
Oh,
they're getting so much combat readiness you can't do
huh.
anything about it.
Interesting.
So keep
Interesting.
that just to
Celeste
put
is
some
actually
fury.
like Celeste is super good, and I hate that people sleep on her, just because she is a 3-star Moonlight. I'll see threads all the time that are like, oh, I didn't get anything good, all garbage, and I'm like, what did you get? They're like, oh, well, I got this church axe guy, this Celeste character, and then this Hirado guy, and I'm like, oh, you mean like three amazing 3 stars. One of the big things with like this game, Cat, is like a lot of 3 stars are actually really good, especially after specialty changes. Some of them are like some of the best characters in their niche. Like SC Mont is insanely good. So that's actually something that you should probably definitely focus on. I like that you've got 2 Erebus ritual swords. I would leave those separate, just so that you can put those on 2 counterattack characters in the future, like a Charles and a Falconeer Quarry, or
Or
Charles,
Charlotte.
or yeah, or just Charles and Fire
All of
Maya.
Cecilia. If you
I'm pretty
happen to
sure I
use
actually have it on Charlotte right now.
Okay.
I could be wrong though.
I mean that's fine, because I don't think you have a Charles, but it's pretty busted on Charles because he's just an absolute monster. But back to looking at some of your characters here. So yeah, you got Belle. Destina is pretty good. I wouldn't prioritize her over like Ange or anybody else. She's good later on, and she's good in like PvP at countering like the debuff meta. So that's she's pretty good. I like running her with a counterattack set.
I
um
actually pulled her and worked on her before I pulled any Angelicas.
Fair enough,
So
fair enough. I mean,
yeah.
I was pretty much the same way too. So Luna, amazing single target DPS, or there's not too much else to really say about that. um the 4 life steal 2 crit is pretty good. Again, you're gonna want speed main stat boots. Flat is not justice when it comes to the right side of gear. um you're gonna want attack sets, attack substats on her, and attack main stats as well. So like chance to crit, attack, or attack speed. Really depends on what you have. Otherwise,
When you get further down, you go from like the crit damage, attack, and speed, or attack again.
yeah. So So yeah, one of the things with your Angelica here is you're gonna want to increase her speed. 95 is super slow, and even in PvE, you're gonna have like a really hard time like getting a chance to go. And by the time your Angelica's actually gets her turn, everybody else is gonna be dead or she's gonna be dead. So you want to bump that speed up. I would suggest getting like speed, HP, speed set, HP main stats. We were talking earlier, and one of the things out of Automation Tower is a nice necklace that is speed HP. And for the most part, Automation Tower, like up to 90, is pretty easy. I don't know if you've worked on it yet or not. I was going to look at that here in a little bit, but
It should be at like floor 60 if I'm not mistaken.
okay, yeah, so they did put like some okay-ish accessories in there, and if you're not like an end game player, like the people who complain about those accessories, you know, they're all maxed out and they're just looking for something to complain about. But for you, who's like coming up in the game, those are going to be really good. They're going to be really clutch because getting like good accessories early and mid game is actually quite hard. So, yeah. I like that you have Karen here, but what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to change this out to something that has crit chance on it, because you want to always have 100% crit chance. So actually, like right here, dropping this 2-piece crit set, a crit thing right here for just this neck alone will net you more crit damage and crit chance, because you only get 12.
Oh wow, yeah, I see that. I love
12 16. So just moving this over will hit you at 77%. You got 9 crit chance on here. And one of the things too to think about in the future is so yeah, if you move this over, you'll lose a little bit of crit damage, but you'll gain, well, if you leveled this up, you would have similar attack. But you don't always have to hit a specific set. Like there's a lot of times where a individual piece will actually end up being way better offset than it would be to force yourself into a specific set with, you know, suboptimal main stat or suboptimal substats. And necklaces with crit hit chance are like literal gold. Like there's very few of them, unless it is absolute trash, that I would ever get rid of, just because like if you max this out, the amount of crit chance that it gives you, like you don't even have to worry usually about crit hit chance on like any other piece of gear, because your neck alone takes care of that. So other pieces of gear you can focus on crit hit damage, attack, whatever you need, speed, because all of your crit hit chance is already taken care of on your neck piece. So you'll want to try to find a good way to get, you know, that extra little bit of crit hit chance there. But I mean, you've already got like 219 crit hit damage, and you know her speed's 125, but I mean, you can improve that as you go and get better gear. But I mean, that's already a pretty solid Karen. I like that, you know, you already have the crit, the destruction, and you're in a pretty good place with Karen. Now I would probably, I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of RNL myself, just because I don't like yeah,
RNL, I'm not gonna lie, has come in clutch so many times. Like I swear that Karen has gone at least 4 times in a row.
yeah, and I mean
She can actually go even more.
yeah. Yeah, no, and I get that they can do that. It's just I always hate leaving it to chance, because
Yeah.
when it comes to my luck is garbage when it comes to RNL procs. But Violet is another really solid PvPer. they took a character who was already super good and buffed him even further. But lifesteal is pretty much clutch on him.
Yeah.
Making him tanky lifesteal is really solid.
You actually mentioned that to me before, and you were talking about the Abyss gear, and I was like, yeah,
Yep.
sure. I guess I'll try it.
Yeah.
And it's been working out. So
A lot of people don't like Charlotte, and I don't really understand why. She does a lot of damage, but I would focus maybe a little bit more on like attack or damage. A lot of your counterattack sets are pretty low level, so you're not getting a ton of use out of that. And right now, it'd probably be better if she just did a bit more damage if you planned on using her regularly. So one of the things.
I think
Go
you
ahead.
had an attack set in there, so like putting an attack set on her would
Yeah.
take advantage of like her really high multiplier on her S3 when she has 5 focus.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No. When she's got high focus, her S3 is just an absolute monster. It's really pretty good. And so you'd asked about like future planning as well. And I'll tell you, like on Angelica, you're gonna want to eventually aim for like 15k hit points and like 1100 defense. That's gonna get you. That's gonna get you to Wyvern 11 in the long run, and up in that speed. Let's see what sleeper characters you've got sitting down here. I wish that I knew more about Assassin Sid. Like, I like the way Assassin Sid looks, but I don't know anybody that really uses him all that much, and it's kind of disappointing because he's really cool looking, kind of like Specimen says. So I would actually level up Lots. If you get some time, level up Lots, because Lots is a really good CR pusher. He's not as good as auxiliary Lots because he gives heals instead of increasing attack on his S2. But if you're looking for somebody to push a big fat DPSer to the front, he will work. So a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people have always slept on Lots, but like there was one time I went up against a Falconeer Quarry Lots Ruzid specialty changed Ruzid team in Guild Wars, and it was the most infuriating thing that I think I've ever went up against, because they just took like 7 turns before even my speediest characters could go. I'm just like, I don't even know how you're doing this, but this sucks. So yeah, so Lots is pretty solid. You have a lot of characters that are kind of a little all over the board, but how far are you on your specialty change for? Well, I guess you can't because you got to get to 50, right? Yeah, so get Lorena to 50, and then start working on her specialty change, because even though you have Luna, there's situations where Commander Lorena is just better overall DPS. Plus, you can always take 2 single target DPSers, and blow things up with 2 people. So that one is good. Requiem Roar is actually pretty solid. She provides lifesteal to everybody on the team, and if you if you build her in the team, she can make some of your characters very survival heavy and take like normal characters that don't have a ton of survival and really kind of help out. Not only that, but it actually helps you when you start pushing into raid on the first boss, because every time an enemy dies, it gives back health to everybody, and since you're going to be killing a lot of spiders and stuff like that on the first raid boss, this is actually pretty solid. So that'll definitely help you out. Not only that, but look at how excited she is to be on your team. She's a little cutie. So let's see, what other 3? Yeah, you're gonna want to level up that Mont and get working on her specialty change as well. because she is really solid after the specialty change.
Mariner Guard. He looks kind of stupid, but he is one of the best Wyvern like supports in the
Yeah.
game since
Hmm.
he has a 75% chance to defense break for 1 turn on his S1.
Yeah.
So if you turn the skill off and make him fast and high effectiveness, that Wyvern will be having defense break on pretty much all the time.
Yeah, not only that, but he increases the chance of dual attack for everybody on the team. So that's just going to increase your overall DPS with people taking multiple dual attacks, things like that. So that's it's pretty solid. He takes a bit of investment, but yeah, he is a pretty solid budget character. So like yeah, outside of that, there's not too much else that I see down here. You should probably level up this cute fire carbuncle. Just because he is pretty adorable. Oh, one other thing to look forward for in the future as well is Jekt. Jekt with the potion vial is going to be very clutch to doing Banshee 11 because his skill that just dispels debuffs is really big because he just every time plus you build him really speedy, so whenever he's like speed looping because he gives himself speed, things like that, he's just going to be clearing debuffs like an absolute madman. So let's see, in connection wise, do you have everybody? Okay, no, yeah, I guess like do these as you can. There's nobody in here that you don't already have that you need. Yuna's not like a clutch have to have person. So let me take a look at how you're doing in here. I would put um, 3 points into probability blessing when you can. Just because the chance of getting a 3-star penguin becomes better, and then you can sell 3-star penguins for silver transmute stones. That's actually what I do. So you'll also want to make sure that each day you're doing like, so what I do is I do slot number 1's a penguin and 2 dogs, because you're going to want to hit the penguin every day for the daily. This one, all 3s, that's good. High command, I just did one, like 1 and 1. I would actually take these out of here right now because you're not going to be blacksmithing anything for a long time, and that's just kind of wasted breaths. Is actually like, unless you've just got like millions of gold just burning a hole in your pocket, crafting is pretty bad actually. At least it's always been pretty bad for me. But yeah, what questions do you have at the moment, Kat? Like what do you want to cover next?
Well, I mean, you kind of answered the question of the crafting scenario. Like, I mean, I've kind of been dabbling with it, and a lot of the gear that you actually see on some of the characters is from that crafting, and looking for like high level epics and the like, and or at least what I can craft with wyverns. But I mean, let's see. I mean, so like team composition wise, I mean,
So
like going for like how do I put this? Not necessarily like walking the dogs, but like, you know, wyvern, banshee, golem hunts, like something that's not like as simple as, oh, like just use fire units, or
well,
because I'm still
so
relatively new.
actually, like the higher you get into hunts, that actually is the that is it. Just use ice. Just use ice characters for Wyvern 11. No, one of the things you're going to want to look at is like your characters, like what they can do. So first off, on this team, what you want to do, because like typically your team leader is the one that gets hit more regularly. At least that's, you know, my opinion. So you're gonna want, that's what they claim, but you know, anybody who is like squishy that you put in the back line, that's who they
Just get
immediately
smacked, yeah,
beeline
so-
for. The other thing too, when you're putting together a team, is you want to look at devotion skills, because not everybody's devotion skill is team wide. So you'll see a lot of people actually that'll put regular Shuri in the wrong spot, and it won't actually speed imprint the people that they want it to speed imprint. The other thing too is the imprint doesn't work for yourself. So imprints only work for everybody else at the moment. I'm actually looking forward to, they've mentioned that they are going to be making something so that you can just kind of turn it off for everybody else and then give yourself something. So that's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. But a lot of times when you're building a team, you know, and you don't really have to worry about mono teams until whatever like hunt you're doing that gets to rank 11, because you can pretty much get through whatever before that. But when you're looking at a team, you want to look at what buffs you have and what debuffs that you also have. And so like on this team, you've got multiple defense breaks. Bell defense breaks, Karen defense breaks, Ken defense breaks. So you're really set on defense breaks. Now, a lot of these are your most powerful characters, so where you're at in the game, a lot of times you don't have to worry about that. But moving forward in the future, those are things that you kind of need to figure out. Is, am I doubling up, am I, you know, tripling up on redundant buffs? Like, is there a reason why I'm bringing this character who does the same thing as this other character when I could bring this character who brings a whole different set of things to the table? So like, yeah, you can bring regular Belle, who defense breaks, gives herself immunity, does percent hit points. Or you could bring Seaside Belle, who, you know, brings different buffs with, or debuffs with her S3, has her S2, which counterattacks, her S1 puts target on them. Is that going to be more beneficial at the end of the day than what your regular Belle could bring? Or if that's the case, then maybe you don't bring your Karen, because, you know, you've already got defensive break with Belle and she does percent hit points, and maybe bringing Belle and Seaside Belle is a little bit better. So it really has to be, you kind of have to tailor it to what it is that you're fighting, because like if you're going up against Wyvern, Karen's actually just going to bring so much more to the table, and because Wyvern's obviously fire, you'll want to swap Seaside Belle in for regular Belle, because Karen's going to be your heavy lifter. Seaside Belle is going to be there for defense break, for targeting, for adding debuffs on, you know, and then Ken's just there to literally get hit in the face a bunch of times. And he's actually really good at Wyvern for quite a bit of time. One of the problems with regular Wyvern up until 11 is that, you know, he can just attack whoever. So you kind of need to spread out your tankiness across the whole team. Whereas when you hit like Wyvern 11, you can hone in and just focus on your main tank, and just tanking them out, because Wyvern will just literally only hit that character. But yeah, that's kind of the way you've got to think about it. Kind of like look at the character, what they bring to the table. Do I have a defense break? That's probably one of the most important things in any team comp, is a defense break, because defense break brings so much more to the table and increases your DPS like exponentially versus just like a increased attack or something along those lines. Because I mean, think of it in like FGO terms. Do you want defense down on one person, or do you want attack up on one person? Because the defense down on one big enemy is going to provide basically an attack up for everybody else on the team. And Snow, do you know the number? Is that 50% defense?
I think at For a defense break, it decreases the enemy's defense by 70%.
Oh, that's way more than I thought. I thought it was 50%. So that's a lot.
Or it's for an attack buff, it'll increase your attack by 50%.
Okay. Yeah,
So
maybe that's
defense
what I was
break
thinking.
is a lot better.
Yeah, defense break is just you will melt people after a defense break. So
Which is like another reason why Ken is really good, because his defense break gets like flat 75%, but once you get that figure up, it ignores effect resistance altogether.
yeah,
So like you don't have to worry about the defense break whiffing.
yeah. Yeah, because they're not gonna be able to go, oh, I have a whole bunch of effect resist. I don't even care, because Ken's like, yeah, I don't care about your defense or your effect resist.
That innate
Yeah,
15% is not gonna strike this time.
that's right. That's right. So so yeah, that's one of the things you need to just kind of like read into the character's skills and stuff like that, and go and team comp yourself around that. But for the most part, where you're at in the game, you can just throw your strongest people in there and usually breeze through the vast majority of it. Now, for things like, obviously fodder farming, one of the best places to farm fodders is on normal maps in the labyrinths, where you can just do a crap ton of fights for 10 AP instead of 8 AP, because you'll end up, now you do have to manual it most of the time, at least like click every so often, but you will end up getting a lot more chests, a lot more loot, a lot more fodder drops for 2 extra AP and a little bit of extra work. So that is something to think about as well. And since it's on normal maps and they're usually stupid easy, a Bell or a Ken can just easily waltz right through there with 3 fodders in tow. So you can bring a yellow dog, a blue dog, and some rando 2-star and just farm them up.
Gotcha.
Cool. All right. So what's next? What's next on the agenda of questions?
Hmm.
I mean, I think overall you have a really good start. I mean, you got like some pretty good. That shouldn't be on. I apparently have somebody subscribe to me. Somebody followed me on Twitch at 1:30 in the morning, and my normal recording layout had my alert box on. That was weird, but as I was gonna say, you have a lot of really good units on this account. You got Belle, you got Seaside Belle, you got Violet, you got Luna, you got Ken. Says is still good at farming regardless of what Facebook and Reddit thinks. Charlotte's pretty solid. Angelica's amazing. Your Karen is in a good spot. You have a lot of really solid units, and I think that you're in a good spot. You just need to focus on kind of building that Wyvern team, because everything revolves around Wyvern. As much as I hate that Wyvern is like literally the gatekeeper of all things in this game in the future, it really is. So you want to like put a lot of your focus on your Karen, your Seaside Belle, your Angelica. Those are going to be your three hardcore characters. Now you don't have a Kisei, so just bring Luna as well.
I was about to say, like, for Wyvern, what about Luna?
Yeah, no, and well, the thing is like recently a lot of people have been swapping over to Seaside Belle in place of Luna, as well as like Kisei and others. But yeah, no, you've got Luna, you've got Seaside Belle, you've got Karen, you've got Angelica. Once you get a little bit more speed and a little bit more heft on Angelica, there's literally no reason why you shouldn't be able to just start pushing higher tiers of Wyvern and just farming gear.
Yeah. On that note, actually, while you're in the hero screen, I got Belle to 6-star. if that's the case, because I know you mentioned to me a while ago to work on Violet.
Yeah.
For my
Personally,
next 6-star.
I would say Seaside Belle actually. Because you didn't have Seaside Belle and Seaside Belle wasn't out when I told you to work on Violet.
Yep.
But yeah, no, that'd probably be my next. Actually, you know what? I Snow between Ken and Seaside Belle. Who should he do? Because I'm actually kind of torn because like Ken is just like a monster if you build him correctly.
Between Ken and Seaside Belle, and I think he's Cat. You said you haven't been able to do Wyvern 8, right?
You can actually, I mean, you can actually check. I think it's I think I'm stuck on like Wyvern 8 or 470 for the automaton tower. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
8.
So it's 8.
I would personally, I think I would work on Ken since he doesn't require some of the better kinds of gear, and while hunting 8, you could get gear for Seaside.
That's true. Yeah, and you can just bring Ken to Wyvern with the rest of your team.
Mm-hmm.
Because
So
Ken,
like,
he's providing a lot of the things that you need to
Yeah.
make Wyvern 8 a lot easier. He has attack break on
Mhm.
his ultimate, defense break on his S2 and S1, burn damage. Like the debuffs he puts on there will make the Wyvern attack less
yeah,
also.
I haven't even touched like those teams, Shogun. Like
Okay.
like yeah, those teams are like super outdated, and I've just been using Team 1 basically. For like I think Team 4 is actually my dog walking team. I've just been walking those 3-star dogs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. The
So
yellow ones.
Oh, put
or I
Karen
mean
on the
the
bottom.
blue ones rather.
What's that?
Put Karen on the bottom.
So yeah, this would they're all geared. We'll see how this goes while we
Uh,
while we
oh well, never mind. I was gonna
what?
say swap Angelica and Ken because Karen's crit imprint applies to where Angelica and Luna are standing.
Oh,
That way,
gotcha.
that
Well,
way.
I would want Ken to eat the hits because that Angelica is not very beefy. But so yeah, I mean, as long as you have like 100% crit on her, she's just gonna do just massive amounts of damage to Wyvern, and that's gonna be because you're gonna have to break through that that shield when he puts that up. So that's pretty much gonna be your go-to. But this team after you get your gear sorted, I mean, this is gonna be fine as it is probably for this one. Um, and then like the move from like 8 to 9 is probably going to be kind of rough, so you'll probably need to get a bit more. Maybe we'll see, but yeah, I mean, this team in general should easily be able to move you forward, and the better gear that you get on it, and the more gear that you put on this team should get you through that, and that can just exploded. So yeah, you need to get him a bunch more tanky.
Yeah.
So same
Also,
with
like
your Angelica.
yeah, I was about to mention Angelica. Like I totally see what you mean about her being really slow.
Yeah, it's okay. This Karen's gonna take like 17 turns
Yeah,
right now, and yeah.
Like I personally think my two strongest units at the moment are Karen and Bologna.
Yeah. I mean, you're not gonna
So
want to bring Belle to this because she's just gonna miss a whole bunch.
yeah,
So
exactly.
Oh, right. Another thing to mention is when a unit has elemental advantage against the enemy, there's like an invisible 15% extra crit chance.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
you could just get Karen to like 85 and leave her at that and upgrade over time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So that's the wall I've hit, Shogun. So,
Okay. So yeah, the wall, the way to break through that wall, like I said, is get this Angelica a bit more tanky and speedy. Because if she were able to eat those hits, then you would want to swap her in where Ken was. And then she'll be your main frontliner. And if she's got enough speed, if she's running like Prophetic Candlestick, she should be able to heal a lot more often. So like I said, realistically, I think that you're in a good solid spot. You will want to hit this next awaken for her, and then eventually 6-star her because you get more hit points for both of those. And she's actually good for Mola investment, just because you're going to use her so much that it's worth it. When you're running Wyvern too, you can take off Potion Vial because that's not gonna really do much for you at the end of the day on there. Not much more than like a a tankier piece like a Water's Origin, Envoy's Pipe, something along those lines, or a Prophetic Candlestick. So yeah, so I think that just right now, go run more Automation Tower. Get some of the accessories out of there. Do what you can. Try to get things from. Did you did all the adventurer trial thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just work on this team right here for Wyvern, and then we'll touch base in the future to see how that's going, and then give you another run through.
Yeah, for sure. But that actually just kind of brought up another question there. So,
Okay.
The focus that I'm kind of having is kind of torn between two different things to do here. And one, I mean, it's kind of hard for me to focus on both because of my lack of strength in my teams.
Okay.
So things like, should I focus on trying to 6-star my units, or should I try to gear them so it makes it easier to farm for those 6-stars? Like, which is the better investment to start right now, so it would make the other significantly easier and or faster?
Honestly, I think that that 6-starring some of your DPS right now would probably help out, because like when you get them to 60, they're gonna have a lot more hit points, defense, attack, and so that's gonna make them able to eat hits a lot better. Plus you can further awaken them to the end, so if you're just farming dogs while you're farming catalysts, stuff like that to 6-star, and then also working on gathering up your materials to final awaken them, that's probably a solid look at it too. The other thing too is investing like your molas in specific things on this team. So not only that, but as you're going, you're going to get urgent quests for goblins, things like that, where you might get nice accessories, things along those lines. I also think there were like 2 decent pieces out of the second part of the story in the AP shops that were, I know one was like an attack, a weapon.
Yep.
So this one's really good to pick up, and you can get this one while you're farming dogs. You also get your other breath right there, and then the piece out of the second one.
I actually am still working on that one.
Oh, still working on that one. Okay. Yeah, so so work on those, because I mean, if nothing else, that that attack weapon is really solid. So it's got a lot of really good substats. But just run through Automation Tower. Automation Tower will help you get some gear. It'll also give you 4 Molgoras, which I mean you're gonna need a lot, to help out. So I would work right now on 6-starring, doing what you can. Maybe try once you get like the 6 stars. Maybe try the raid. If nothing else, work on doing some of the other labyrinths. So, do you know the trick with going in, talking to the vendor, buying the vendor stuff, and then yielding out so you don't use your labyrinth compass?
I actually didn't.
Okay,
But
so now you do.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So,
Actually though, do you know what place that is? Like, what zone?
I mean, you can do it with any of them. The vendor is in any one of them. Personally, I use Nixed Sanctum because like you can just go to the left and then go all the way down that aisle, and then
Which zone?
So like in here, I'll just do zone 1, and then I just go to the left, and then just go straight up. You might have to have cleared this like parts of it to get that unlocked, but I think there's other places that are a lot easier to
the
just.
one I personally like to use, Terrell Castle Zone 1. Yeah, click Zone 1 and enter there.
If it loads up.
Oh, it's frozen, I think.
Yeah, it does that in labyrinths. So sometimes, like if I haven't been in it yet on this emulator.
Yeah, and then the very top one, and then just head left.
And then yeah, you should be able to clear this out. But yeah, so you can just do this daily, clear out the vendor, and then if you yield, you keep all the stuff and you don't lose your entrant token. That's how people can still hit the vendors and then use all of their tokens for the raid.
Okay, I gotcha. And he's gonna just be right in here. Yep, there he is.
Yep. And so you just buy out whatever you want in here, and then just hit
And then yield.
and it'll be in your inventory. So that's just
Sick.
something really easy to just do like every day, because you're gonna get charms, you're gonna get bookmarks, you're gonna get catalysts sometimes, all kinds of stuff out of there. So solid way to improve that. The other thing too is I would work through the story, completing 3 stars on every map, because it's going to get you Molagoras, and it's going to get you Sky Stones, stuff like that.
Everything that you saw in like the first entire chapter of the entire story is actually 3-star. It's just the God Killer I haven't gone through yet. So
Okay.
I'm still going through that.
Have you worked through the hard mode?
I actually started working on that a little bit ago. It was easier to go through God Killer for a little bit, than to go through the story.
Okay.
The second part, rather.
All right, and also you are going through and purifying Abyss every day.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I don't think I've done it today because I've been working, but
right, fair enough. Okay, cool. So I mean, I think you got a good plan of action. Just work on 6-starring some of those characters, get some gear in the meantime, work your way up Automation Tower, work on the hard mode stuff to get the Molagoras, and then as you get gear, just kind of like remember looking for like if the character, like take a Ken, you're gonna want more tanky bruiser substats. That's like health, attack, effect resist, defense, things like that. Angelica is gonna want speedy tank gear, so like speed substats, HP, effect resist. Really, but at the same time, if a piece has maybe 1 or 2 offensive, it's not the end of the world. Your DPSers, you kind of want to focus on mostly DPS. Now, if you find yourself running into like maybe you built your Luna completely DPS and they're just a glass cannon that gets blown up on the regular, then maybe look to swap in like a hit point set or 2. and it'll evolve over time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I mean, this has been super helpful because it's like, I'll be real, like being dead weight in the guild is kind of an awful feeling. So nice thing
Yeah.
to
It's
work
not
for
something
is
that'll be solved in like overnight, but just
well, yeah, exactly.
take your time and progress into that point.
Yeah, I mean, plus we got rid of burning, so the dead weight's gone. The real dead weight. So, all right, cool deal, man. Well, I am gonna hop off of here. Thank you for letting me hop on your account and review it. And I hope that I hope it helped out. And yeah, we'll hop back on here in the future when you've got when you progressed a little bit, and we'll talk over that when we need to do the 300 IQ strats.
Oh yeah, sounds good.
Cool.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, no problem, man. Take it easy.
See
Yep,
ya.
you too.